What happened to the Nova Knicks? What happened to the Tom Thibodeau Knicks? Well, guess what? They're still in the house. It's just about motivation. And don't blame this on the head coach, Mike Brown, because you saw the New York Knicks were following the Mike Brown plan in the beginning of the season. They were number one in points scored in the NBA for the first 2 months. They were firing on all cylinders. They were known as the Golden State Knicks. Well, at least I was calling them that. Everything was coming up roses. They had some of the toughest games in the beginning of the season, and they crawled through 300 miles of shit and came clean out the other side in second place. But we know what's going on with this team. Karl Anthony Towns, since the beginning of the season, 2 weeks before the season, I don't know where I fit on this team. 6 weeks into the season, I don't know where I fit with this team. A week ago, I don't know where I fit with this team. So is Karl Anthony Towns the problem, or is Mike Brown the problem? Well, I'll tell you here first. Karl Anthony Towns is the problem, but it's not his ability. It's not the way he plays basketball. It's about his attitude. We knew this was going to happen. We heard about the bodega cat and the nasty Karl Anthony Towns last year, and he showed up. I'm Dominican. I was raised in the Bronx and all that stuff. Well, guess what? It's gone bye-bye because he gets in early foul trouble. He complains too much. He's on his back more than a French prostitute, and he complains all the time. Karl Anthony Towns, when he's right between the ears and he's got motivation, can be a top 5 player in the NBA. I don't care what you say. But when his noodle is not on right, that's when things start to go wrong. But this is where it relies on the New York Knicks. You had to address this situation and tell Karl Anthony Towns exactly where he fits. First of all, this falls on Brunson, the captain, too, for not getting Karl Anthony Towns in line. Brunson does not work well with Karl Anthony Towns on the floor. Brunson works better with Mitchell Robinson on the floor. Why hasn't Brunson sat with Karl Anthony Towns and made a lethal 1-2 connection? Because at this point, the New York Knicks are going to have to run a 1A and 1B team where Karl Anthony Towns is the sheer concentration on one team, and so is Brunson. And don't get me wrong, I know everyone loves Brunson. I'm wearing his jersey. But the ISO, roll my ankle, play no defense, guess what? He has to be held accountable too. If he's the captain of this team and you guys are showing up lackadaisical every single night, don't blame that on the couch. You guys seemed like you had some fire under your ass and you were motivated in that stupid Emirates Cup bullshit that you played in. That's the New York Knicks team that we have. And that's why I say don't worry about the New York Knicks right now. It's not as bad as you think. It's darkest before the dawn, guys. This is a good team. You're watching a mix between the NBA regular season not caring, okay? They've literally devalued the regular season in the NBA where they need to make a fictitious tournament in the middle to keep fans and players' interest. They had to put a cap on how many games you got to play to be the MVP of the league. These guys are like, wake me up when the playoffs happens. Same things happen to hockey. Same things happen to the NBA now. The regular season, since they have 12 teams possibly getting in with playoff games and play-in games and all that bullshit, you really need to be hovering around. Just don't be in the bottom 4 teams and you can get into the playoffs in the NBA. So that's what the problem is. First of all, don't give me this, we need Tom Thibodeau back bullshit, okay? Because it's not Brown's fault and it's not Thibodeau's fault. Do you remember last year, the New York Knicks were the top scoring team in the NBA for the first 2 months with Tom Thibodeau? What happened? Middle to 3/4 of the way through the season, the same thing happened last year. The same thing's happening this year under Tom Thibodeau and Mike Brown. You don't defend the 3. Lack of hustle in regular season games. Lack of cohesion on the offensive side. Because what's happening is these guys come out motivated in the beginning of the season. They follow the game plan from the coach, and then life gets in the way and the rest of shit gets in the way, and they stop sticking to the plan. When the New York Knicks were sticking to the plan of Mike Brown, what will Mike Brown do for you this year? Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns looked unstoppable on this team. Mikal Bridges was arguably the MVP of this team in the first 90 days. Let's say he was the second MVP of this team. He was playing better than I've seen him play. Last year, they were like, we got to get rid of this guy, bad contract that we gave him. And then he was one of the MVPs of the beginning of the season. What's happened to him now? It's got to fall on the players, guys. There has to be some responsibility on the players and the Nova Knicks, Hart, Brunson, Mitchell Robinson, and the leaders on this team need to get their shit straight ASAP. Because everyone keeps asking for the Greek Freak. Everyone keeps asking to trade Karl Anthony Towns. Guess what, guys? It's not happening. Karl Anthony Towns' stock is so low at this point, there's no reason to trade him. The answers are in your building. You asked for a bench last year. You got one. You better make it work. Trade Yabusele and Diadit, the French connection. Go get some piece players, and this is who you got. They're going to have to figure it out. And guess what? If you fire Mike Brown, you're just going to be back in the same exact spot that the New York Knicks are in right now. They don't defend the three. They don't play consistent defense. And guess what? Brunson don't play defense, man. He scores 28 a night. He's an injury liability, and he don't play defense, and he don't facilitate. He needs to be accountable for himself also. OG, somebody needs to tell this guy that he's a good player. Get a shot of testosterone and get some balls. You're probably one of the best two-way players in all of the NBA. You need to start acting like it. McBride, Kolick, and Clarkson, no complaints. You guys have done great this year. I think it's been a great story. Kolick has been developing. McBride's turning into the guy that we need. And Clarkson has been that injection of energy off the bench with scoring anywhere between 16 and 24 a night. This is it, guys. Listen, man, they don't have a lot of wiggle room. This is the team. When they locked up Mikal Bridges, when they locked up Karl Anthony Towns, this is going to be the team for the next 3 years. These are the Nova Knicks. This is your shot at a championship. I don't know what to tell you. They need to get meaner. Every time they play the Pistons, they get bodied. They're losing games by 20 points, and something needs to change. And if you think trading Karl Anthony Towns is going to solve all your problems, it's not. Karl Anthony Towns is a top 10 NBA player. When he's got his noodle right, he's a top 5. He's a 7-footer who can hit threes. I don't think Mike Brown's done a good job of establishing Karl Anthony Towns in the beginning of games. You need to get Karl Anthony Towns involved in the first 3 minutes of a game. Let him establish his three-pointer, and then you go from there. The New York Knicks are in trouble. But at the end of the day, they're still 4th overall in the whole division. They're still 12 games above 500. And the Greek Freak is not coming to New York this year. If anything, the only way the New York Knicks are going to get the Greek Freak is if they, one, blow up the entire team, and they do it in the offseason. Contractually, it does not make sense. It would be like a 1-year rental, Juan Soto kind of thing. It wouldn't even be a 1-year rental. It would be like a 2-month rental. So the New York Knicks need to answer the question with the people inside MSG. Listen, Dolan left halftime. He usually comes back in the middle of the third quarter. He didn't come back last night. So I know the front office is not happy in Nickland. But if you want to pin this on Mike Brown, you're pinning it on the wrong guy. It's the player's fault. And Mike Brown wasn't wrong for calling out Karl Anthony Towns. But Mike Brown is going to play a serious game of chicken with getting fired, because if it's up to replacing Karl Anthony Towns or replacing Mike Brown, who do you think is going to go first? Real quick before we leave, I just want to say this. In the first 2 months of the season, first in points, they're 10th now. Second in defense, they're 14th now. Shot percentage, they were 4th for the first 3 months. Now they're 16th. All of this lies on the back of the New York Knicks players, and they better wake up sooner than later because guess what? We'll be watching them getting exited in the second round of the playoffs from the Detroit Pistons if they don't toughen up and wake up and get their heads in order. And remember, New York Minute Sports, New York sports for New York Nuts. As things heat up in the NBA season, I'm going to be covering it right here. Don't forget to put your notifications on. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And remember, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. Good night, Canada. And go Knicks. Bye.